about domestic violence and to really get into it and see what's going on. Carolyn, if you will put that down there with you. But to see what's really going on and just to handle a few real issues that's real. And so we want to get going with that. Um, um, I have with us today, I have Dr. Anika Fields, who has been a licensed clinical psychologist in the state of Florida for 25 years.
Or more.
Or more, probably more, or more. And so we're glad to have her this morning. And I also have Sister Charlene Howard, who is a former, and this is what I call it. It is she's a former domestic violence survivor. Would that be good?
That would be good.
All right, and so we're going to get all of that talked about. And Dr. Fields, will you tell us a little about yourself?
Sure. I am a licensed psychologist in Florida. I have been through a lot of schooling in order to get where I am. I started off with undergraduate school in psychology at Howard and went on to get a master's at Washington University in St. Louis. And then I got my doctorate at the University of Tennessee in Knoxville. And after Knoxville, I moved to Tallahassee and have been here most of my career. I did live other places, so I've been here most of my career and have been mostly worked in institutions of higher learning in Tallahassee. Worked at FSU as a director of the counseling center there for about 13 years. Worked at TCC, leading the counseling center there for a couple of years, and now I'm at FAMU, leading the counseling center.
Yes, all right.
So most of my work has been with students. I do have a small private practice that I work with children all the way up through adulthood, but most of my work has been with students.
Okay, and you have a lot of things. Also, you work with the Special Olympics.
I do. I volunteer with Special Olympics. I've been volunteering for over 25 years. I love it. I love it. I love it. One day when I don't have to work anymore, that's going to be my full-time job as a volunteer for Special Olympics.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I do a lot with Special Olympics. I'm on the management team. I coach powerlifting and track and field. I I volunteer all the time. I just do a lot, and I love it.
Wow, that is absolutely awesome. And she's also a deacon at a church. She works in the media department at a church, and she also teaches at a church. Yeah, I wanted that to be known because I have with us today, not only is she licensed there, but she is a member, a working member at her church, making things happen. And we want to thank you. And that's one of the reasons why I have her on here too. I absolutely admire Dr. Fields, and she's going to give us a lot of good information. And so we are thankful that we were able to get in on your schedule. And I'm glad about that because she's a very busy woman. But we appreciate you. We appreciate you so very much. And a lot of y'all know Dr. Asha. A lot of you all know Dr. Asha. Dr. Asha is all over the place, doing some amazing things. But this is her mother. This is Dr. Asha, mother, and so we're glad to have you, Dr. Fields. Also, we have with us Sister Charlene Howard. Sister Charlene Howard, who is, I said and that was okay?
Yeah,
I said the message, that was okay?
Yeah.
Okay, I was going to ask you that when I got in because I didn't want to just say it, but she's a domestic violence survivor. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, my name is Charlene Shogo Howard. Yes, I'm actually a counselor, academic counselor at Florida A&M University.
Yeah, I see we have all
Yes,
these
all the
rattlers
rattlers in the house today. Yes. I went to Florida State University for undergrad and just found out that Dr. Fields was there when I was a student. some of us went through counseling through the counseling center under Dr. Phil's supervision. So,
Really?
yeah, so that was awesome. So I went there for undergrad. I did social science, then went to FAMU, got my master's degree, and then started working in academia shortly after graduation and doing counseling and working with undergrad students, and then now culminating with doing professional life coaching and working on my doctoral degree in strategic leadership and coaching.
Oh, cool. And so we really are excited about our show today. We have two beautiful, powerful women here, and we're going to talk about it. One of the reasons why I wanted to talk about this show is, unfortunately, in Tallahassee, we're having so many domestic problems where we're seeing so many who have been killed. We've seen some who have been abused, and we just have so much going on, and we wanted to address this. I went on the ride with the police, Tallahassee Police Department, and 4 of the calls were domestic violence that we went on, and all of them had knives. And so we want to deal with this. And as I stated earlier, y'all, I know that this is a very sensitive subject, but we're going to talk about domestic violence. It's never okay.
Right, it's never okay, never.
And so we're going to talk about that. And as I said, I brought Dr. Fields on because, I don't know, I see things a little sometimes differently, but we don't want to minimize how serious it is.
Right.
And also, people say, and sometimes people just say, and I've been, I guess, accused of that as well before, to say, why don't you just leave? Why don't you just leave? I work with Department of Children and Family, seen so many domestic violence cases, and my thing to some of the women was, why don't you just leave? And the remarks were, they would kill me more. My mother told us, that man must be crazy and a fool to abuse me and go to sleep, or abuse me and trust me to cook his food. And so my conclusion was, Doc, maybe, I don't know. So let's.
Well, you know, what happens a lot of times, number one, when we look at domestic violence, we're talking about someone who deliberately is trying to control that other person.
Okay.
And they do it quite well, especially if it's been done a long time. But a lot of times women can't leave, or they feel they can't leave.
Okay.
And one of the main reasons might be is they may be literally stuck there because they don't have the means to live. They don't have the money to leave. And a lot of times they don't have the money because they are not allowed to work, or if they do work, the money is taken from them. We're talking about control here.
Right.
The abuser wants all the control. And so if they don't have the money to leave, then how can they leave? Where are they going to go? That's what they're thinking about. Another thing is, might not just be them, but it also might be kids. They may have been in a relationship for a long time, and it may not have been any abuse in the beginning, but there's abuse now as the relationship has gotten older. And so now we have kids, and I don't want my kids out there, on the street. Maybe I could go myself, but I don't want my kids out there, and I got to take my kids with me, so they stay. And there's hope that that person will change. If they were this really nice person in the beginning, they're hoping that might, come about again. Another one may be that they don't feel they have anywhere to go if they were able to escape. I'm really talking about escape, because
Okay.
a lot of times you do have to literally escape. They may have been so intimidated that they're afraid of everything. They're cut off. A lot of times the abuser will cut them off from their friends and their family, will talk about them negatively on social media, will determine who their friends are
Right.
on social media. And so if all of that is happening, plus they're told the moment you live, I'm gonna hunt you down and kill you, which
Mhm.
a lot of them are told,
Yeah.
then the best thing for them, they feel at this particular point in time, is to stay there.
Just stay, to say, would you agree with those things, Charlene?
100%. All of it.
Okay, what exactly did you experience?
I don't know how to work that. So.
Okay, go.
You said a mouthful there. And so I thought myself, I used to be a person who would, in their mind, say, well, why don't you just leave the relationship? Because I dealt with a lot of things over the years, and I never dealt with domestic violence. And I talked to God really crazy. And I'm like, well, God, I dealt with sexual abuse, and I dealt with not having a father, and I dealt with all of these things, but I don't know what it feels like to be in a domestic violence relationship. And literally a month after saying that, I was in an abusive relationship. And as smart as I was, the degree that I am, as spiritual that I was, as a church member that I was, I found myself dying on the inside.
Okay.
It was the most fearful time of my life.
Okay.
I've been afraid of a lot of things, but this one, it took the cake. It was a fear that just overtook me so bad that I was afraid of any little move. I didn't know if it was going to happen at my job, if I was going to be at church and something happened. I didn't want to leave my home. Then I had children, not with him, but my children were there. So in my mind, what can I do, or how did I get into this situation, and how can I make sure that my friends are safe, my family are safe, I'm safe? So it not only became a time where I was afraid for myself, I really became afraid for the people connected to me, which made me disconnect, because
Okay.
I didn't want something to happen to somebody close to me because of somebody that I was involved in.
And and a lot of times there's those threats there. If you do X, Y, Z, then I'm going to get your mom, your dad,
Wow.
rest of your
Wow.
family, and you believe that, because if they're violent against you, then they can be violent against anybody.
Wow. And so the working definition of domestic violence, what would you give us, Dr. Fields, a working definition of domestic violence?
I would just say, basically, anytime a person tries to deliberately take control
Okay.
of you
Okay.
and your situation and your circumstances. And it can come in many different behaviors, many different forms. You may have physical abuse, and that's hitting, slapping, kicking, stomping,
Okay.
anything like that. Or you may have the sexual abuse, where it could be literally rape, whether you're married or not. It could be rape. It could be making you do sexual things that you don't want to do, or forcing you to do it, holding you down, that type of thing. It can be emotional or verbal abuse, where the person is very intimidating, is very talking to a person very negatively, making them feel like they aren't worth anything, or nobody wants them, or telling them that they are ugly or they look a certain way. Economic abuse, what I talked about not having the money. The abuser making sure that that person doesn't have enough money to do anything. And sometimes it may even mean not giving them money for medical, if they need any kind of medical, what's the word I'm looking
Attention.
for? Attention, that's the word. Medical attention. Or not being able to go to school or go to work, not having the money to do that, not allowing them to even ride the bus to work, those type of things.
Wow.
Psychological abuse, minimizing or blaming the person for the abuse that they're getting. It's your fault that I had to hit you,
Okay.
type
Okay.
thing.
Yeah.
Making threats, destroying property. I mean, a lot of times they're throwing things, which is very, very scary when they start throwing things around. Or digital abuse, where you're talking about the social media thing. So you're talking about what I said before, controlling who their friends are on social media. Or they can maybe be on social media, but they better not have this person as a friend. They need to block this one and that one.
Wow.
Can't have any family there as friends. But it's okay if you're there, but there also may, and a lot of people don't look at this as abuse, but if a person takes your phone, goes in it, look at all your messages, look at, your text messages, look at your phone calls, who called you, what they said, those things, that's abuse. That's abuse. And or another one, and people really don't look at that. Please don't leave me. If you leave me, I'm going to kill myself. And that's psychological abuse too, because you don't want anybody to kill themselves because of you.
Right.
So you stay.
That is a lot. That is a lot, and a lot of time we miss it because number one, am I right? We believe the person love us.
Yes. And and it sounds kind of funny, but in their own mixed up, screwed up way, they do.
They do.
They do.
It's so weird.
Yeah, yeah.
It's twisted.
So they really do. So would that come from abuse? I mean, domestic violence and abuse being generational?
Sometimes, but not all the time. Sometimes they've watched that in the homes when they were growing up, and they've come to feel that they can get what they want, or they can be in control because they saw someone in the house do the same thing. But it's not all the time like that, because there are also people who grew up in abusive homes, and they are not abusive now at all,
Okay.
and have told themselves they'll never do it. It comes from insecurity sometimes. I have to be in control. If you got a master's degree and I don't even have a high school education, then I can't possibly top you in terms of that. So I'm going to top you in something else. I'm going to take control. I'm going to make you think that degree you have isn't worth anything, type thing. So it could be that and a lot of other things that could. It could be financial. A lot of times there's some relationships there are a lot of financial problems. So let's say that whoever the breadwinner is in the home, could be the male, the female,
Okay.
but they lose their job. And they come home and they take it out on whoever's closest to them at home to take it out on.
Wow.
Which is usually
the spouse.
exactly, or
the-
girlfriend
the
or boyfriend or whoever.
The intimate partner.
Exactly. And so they take it out on them, so it starts from there, and it just rises. The less control they have, the more control they're gonna try to get of someone who they can probably get it from.
Do they look for certain people? I mean, and I know this might not be a good question or not, but do they, okay, let's see, a person who is domestically violent or an abuser, do they look on for certain people, or
Most of the time, I don't think so. I think that person is just there. Because it's usually an intimate partner, and it. But I mean, I'm sure that sometimes that happens. I'm just going to go search and see who I can control.
okay.
But a lot of times, I don't feel that the person is actually looking for someone. It just so happens that that person is there, and they do whatever they feel they need to do to get that control.
And Charlene, you said a few moments ago you had never felt any type of fear like that before. Did you, like Dr. Fields just listed a whole lot of stuff. Did any of those things come to play? Or did you notice them, or what?
So there were signs that I didn't pay attention to.
Okay.
So like getting into just a regular argument nothing major, no physical abuse, but just the type of words that are being used during that confrontation. Oh, so you just think you better than me? You just so educated. Oh, you just bougie. Just things like that. And I'm not thinking it as abuse. I'm just like, well, no, we're just having a conversation about something minor. And then that turned into a push. Then I'm gonna put my hands to restrain you, but you're not really restraining me. You're borderline almost choking me. And so that part happened before the major incident occurred. But looking at, what, that was just a one-time incident. That's never happened before. Just getting to know the person. So maybe this is just that case, because they're really good at apologizing. With abusers, it's not like they just beat you and don't care. Like they will turn around and make amends. They act really good in front of friends and family. They're like the ideal person to where everybody sees them and they're like, oh my
Right.
gosh, they're so nice.
Right.
Oh, I can't believe he's done that for
Exactly.
you. Oh, and so it makes this picture like, oh, everything's all good. And so then when it happens, it almost comes as a shock because you're not prepared for it when they switch.
Okay, let me ask you this, and this to both of you, and I want to I'm asking these questions because I want people, in the audience who's listening, who may be dealing with this, to really seek help. I want you not to be afraid to go and ask for help. If you have to do it privately, I don't know what to say. My thing is go to your children's school, get them, and go. I mean that's my husband and I. We never played hitting because I didn't want it to ever turn into something real. Cause Dr. Fields, Sister Charlene, I really think there's an evil in me that I do believe that if they were ever hit, if I was ever hit by somebody, a man in a relationship, I don't know. I think there's a psychological something in me that would go off, and I don't know if that's because the way I was raised. My father said, "Don't ever let a man hit you." My mother taught us that, and they were adamant about that. And I think all of us believe that. So, and that was why I asked, was there certain women that they look for? Because and fortunately, I've never been in an abusive relationship. And when they start hollering at me, that was to go.
I think there's characteristics
That
that
they
they
look
look for because to me, and this is just my personal experience in dealing with relationships, and it's almost that they key in on weaknesses, on where can I find that weak point, or what level, or how can I get in. And so I don't know if they necessarily will act that way with every partner that they have or every woman. They kind of test the waters of like, well, how emotionally broken is she? Is she a strong woman? Is she gonna fight me back, or is she gonna just take the abuse? So that changed the dynamics of it as well. It wasn't as easy for him when he realized I can't just do this to her and she's just gonna take it. Because it got to the point where I would fight back. And so that made him even think like, oh wait, she's probably just as crazy as I am. Like I just can't do what I used to do with somebody else with her. So now I gotta change my tactics to see how can I get into her mind and what can I do to get her to submit to what I'm trying to do.
And then there are some where, that's true, and there's some where it comes on, in the beginning, they aren't even thinking about, I'm going to be an abuser.
Mm-hmm.
It comes on because of circumstances, because of situations.
Mm-hmm.
Still not right, and they still may get to the point where they're really terrible, and they may do this with just anybody. If she escapes, then they find somebody else. But I think with some it's a surprise to even them.
Okay.
Yeah. Charlene is right. I mean, apology seems to come real easily. I'm just so sorry, and a lot of times women accept the fact that they are sorry because they want to believe that they are sorry, and that they won't ever do it again. And then it happens again, and it happens again, and it happens again, and it keeps happening.
And is it at that point somewhere in the first apology that they begin to lock the mind and the heart of the women in, or?
I just think that, and I think that what happens is you're in this relationship, you care about this person.
Okay.
If you're in the relationship, you want to see the relationship work.
Okay.
And sometimes, like Charlene said, you say, okay, that's just one time. And this is not gonna happen again. That's what you have, and that's what you're feeling in your heart and in your head.
Okay.
This is not gonna happen again. And so you accept the apology.
Okay.
No, it doesn't mean that you're saying, okay, do it again.
Mhm.
No, you're accepting the apology. You're thinking you're gonna go on from there. Every relationship has its problems.
Right.
And
Right.
so
Right.
that's the way you go with it.
Okay.
But then it happens again. And you may accept the apology again
Okay.
because something happened, and maybe you were even convinced that
your fault.
it was your fault that it happened.
Okay.
I got to figure out how to choose the right words, type thing.
Yes, walk on eggshells.
Yes, yes,
Don't breathe,
all the
don't
time.
breathe wrong.
Right,
Don't
exactly.
put that shoe right there because he might trip over it. Don't cook that meal because he don't
Right.
really like. He don't like to eat that. So
No more, because he may have eaten it before. Or make sure that the kids are quiet. Kids can't run around, they can't play with their toys if it makes a lot of noise and he just got home from work. All of those things, you're trying to make sure that there's nothing that's gonna trigger him, because you get to the point, you don't even know what's gonna trigger. He'd be laughing one minute and slapping you the next minute. And you just don't know. And
Yes.
all of that is a part of control.
So the ultimate goal, for lack of a better, is control.
It's
To
control.
have total control.
Yes.
When you sit, when you eat, the friends you use, who you talk to on the cell phone, where you go, and all of that. Because I know there's someone, a sister here from Scotland, put on here situational abuse. So they really are sorry in the moment, but the next moment is something else.
Exactly. Exactly.
And so they go with what meal, and he might have liked it the first time, but now he don't like it anymore.
Exactly.
That has to be a
And
lesson.
how do you know that?
Right.
I mean, because yeah, it's just a way to control and to get you all confused, because it could be literally yesterday that he liked that meal. Literally yesterday he liked that meal, but he doesn't today. And it could be exactly the same way, cooked the same way, doesn't matter. So now,
Wow.
in her head, she's really confused. What's going on here? And don't say, well, you liked it yesterday.
Oh God. A
Because
whole
that
new
could-
fight.
Exactly.
So all of that is based on emotional control. So now he's controlling your emotions.
and it's a lack of really them understanding how to deal with conflict. Them not dealing with their internal emotions and what they're dealing with.
Right.
And so domestic violence is not just somebody who just wants to beat on you all the time, or they just want to hurt you. It's a lack of them understanding themselves, and lack of understanding how to control what they're upset about, what they're angry about, what they're disappointed about, what they're sad about. And so they take all of that and then become abusive, because even in the situation, I was an abuser to a male partner.
Oh, yeah, because I'm about to ask, we're about to get on
So
that one,
it's
Dr.
two,
Fields.
it's two ways. It's
So you
not
beat up
just
a man?
yes. I used to beat up men all the time. I would hit you.
So you beat up a man?
I would hit you.
They ain't tell their friends though, did they?
No, they did. She's like, she crazy. But we accept women hitting a man more than we accept
That is
a man beating a woman.
That is true, and a lot of men grow up, you better not hit a
Don't
woman.
hit a woman.
You don't hit a woman. So they try and try and try. The woman could be just kicking them in the face, and they try and try and try. A lot of men.
Right.
Some men will
Some
turn
men
around
gonna
and
hit-
hit.
gonna hit you right
But a lot
back.
of
And
but a
that's
lot of
what
times,
happened.
yeah, a lot of times they
That's
try
what-
not to.
Mhm.
And it could get to the point where it gets to be violent just because they can't take it anymore. This could be over years. But yeah. And a lot of times I've seen where women will take advantage of that. They know that he's
Right.
not gonna hit them
It's
back.
not, right.
Yeah.
And see, for me, it would happen where I acknowledge.
Hold on for just a minute. Caller, you on the air.
Pastor Judy, I applaud you for tackling this subject,
You know I'm not scared.
but I wish most of the clergy would not be scared and just not worry about what's in the congregation and dwell on this constantly, because I'm just going to share, we lost a member of our church just 2-3 weeks ago, and I'm going to be sensitive. But it was because a toxic relationship could not be severed. And I don't care which gender it's coming from, but love is not expressed through beating and torture. And the minute somebody gets beaten, I just suggest you run to the hills. Run. Just run and don't look back. Because that is not an expression of love.
I agree. And I want to thank you for calling, because that's what this show is about. Domestic violence is never okay. So somebody hitting on you, I don't care if man, if she hitting you, or woman, if he's hitting you. I mean, children, if your parents are taking it out on you, and I'm not talking about just a regular little whipping. Because I know Dr. Fields, she probably said, so that's what your problem is. You know, we have a psychologist go to our church, and I say, you mean analyzing me? You know, what is your analyzation of me? What are you gonna give to me? But I agree that, and that's what I hope this show is, that's what I hope this show does. I hope it gives somebody the courage somehow to at least seek help. You know, we don't want you to stay there till you're killed or you kill somebody. Like the little 16-year-old, well, she was 16 when she went to jail in trafficking, and they selling her for sex. And they gave the 16-year-old 51 years. Come on.
Right.
You know, that's, we want to help it. And I like to deal with real issues. That's what the Real Talk with Judy show is about. Real issue with real people, you know, because we have to get help. And I know she mentioned the clergy handling this, Dr. Field. Charlene, this is true. I've had over 6 people from the clergy since I put this on, that we were doing this show, to text me. They don't want me to I wouldn't dare get a name, period. But they're enduring domestic violence from their husband, who's pastor. And then sometimes they don't say anything because they're doing it, and so they can't do it in the clergy. And
I find that a lot of people, a lot of guys especially, who are in roles that stand out in the community, pastors, politicians, the law enforcement, you know, especially law enforcement. Especially law enforcement. Yeah, CEOs, those type of people who really stand out, and they're just so nice.
Upstanding members of the community.
Yes, and they even tell her, okay, you can tell whoever you want to, they aren't gonna believe you. You know, I got this friend, this friend, this friend, this friend, and then on top of that, some of those friends know about it and won't do anything, won't say anything. And so you sometimes the woman just feels trapped.
feel trapped.
You know, there's nobody I can go to that will help me. Nobody. And
Or they won't understand.
They won't
Even if they help, they'll
they
judge
won't
you.
right, they won't
because you knew
understand.
better, or what did you do?
Yeah, exactly. And that's a
It's the
question that's asked a
it's
lot of times.
always, what do you do?
Right, even from their family members, they get, well, what did you do? Because so and so, you know,
Definitely
wouldn't do that for nothing. You
Wow.
had to have done something. Yeah.
Wow. That could put you in a very bad place.
Yeah.
Because no one's gonna believe me. Anything. I'm glad Pastor never hit me, because my family probably would say, Judy, what did you do? And I was listen, and they wouldn't believe me, you know.
Well, I was afraid to tell my dad and like people that were close to me because they crazy, and I didn't want them to go to jail because they already were not happy when they did find out. You know, my dad just found out December when I did my book signing. I expressed everything to my friends and family that were there.
Where's the guy?
Oh, he's not here. He's not even in the state of Florida. Thank you, Lord.
Did you mention his name? Cause
No.
if your, I'm gonna say if your
Not
family,
mentioning.
if your
I'm not
family,
mentioning that.
your family
no.
anything like mine, they would be on the
Uh-uh.
plane. That sister right there, and these sisters that's on here, and my mama got a broke foot. She probably trying to hop along Cassidy.
Yeah, no, I couldn't tell him, and I didn't
Yeah.
say anything, because when my dad came, he was like, well, he lucky, because I would have killed him. I said, I know, that's why I didn't tell you.
Wow, and let me see. How long did you stay in?
Not long.
Okay.
It happened November 6, 2017, on a Monday. I remember that. I'll never forget that day.
Wow.
And it lasted for the month of November, part of December, and then got out completely in January. But he got arrested in November for something completely different. So with my situation, I had to go into real prayer and seeking God, and God Himself helped me get out of that situation. Like I couldn't do, because I didn't press charges. I didn't tell anybody. Even when I got a call from the cops, because they had called me because he had got arrested for something else. They, tried to ask me questions. You know how they do, because
Yeah.
they saw records and things that he had in his past and had warrants. So they little lady literally asked me, she's like, well, he has a history of abuse and domestic violence. Did he do anything to you? And I was like, no, ma'am, I don't know what you're talking about. And I literally wanted to say, yes, please.
But why didn't you?
I was too afraid. Even with him being locked up in Leon County, I was still afraid. And then I got afraid because I'm like, oh, he done got locked up. It ain't had nothing to do with me. He gonna think I told the people something.
Okay.
His mama's Facebooking me talking about, oh, you the reason why he in jail. I'm like, what the world? This is during Thanksgiving. And I'm like, I didn't do anything. I didn't send him to jail. So the first thing, I'm like, it's not my fault. But in my mind, I'm like, oh, he gonna think I set him up. He gonna think I sent him to jail. He gonna think I told somebody, and I didn't tell anybody. So I was still even visiting him while he was in jail, trying to make sure he knew it wasn't my fault. And then when he got sent off, because he wasn't from Florida, when he got sent off, he was still trying to call and reach out, and all the way up until the beginning of the year.
So he had control.
Yeah, he had control. He had control and had her scared enough that even though she could have left because he wasn't there, the thing is with a lot of women is, what if he gets out?
Yep.
What if he gets out? He's gonna come straight looking for me, and he's gonna find me.
Yep. He knows where I live. He knows where I went to work.
Mhm.
He knows where I went to church. So it got so bad that I was trying to think about moving. I wasn't going to re-sign my lease. I stopped going to the church I was going to in Bainbridge, because I'm like, he might drive to Bainbridge and come to church. So I stopped going there. And then I would call out of work so much, they didn't know if I was working or not. We don't know if she's going to come in today.
Hold on, caller, you're on the air.
Hello.
Hey,
Hello.
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. I have a question for you all. Here in Scotland, we have something called, I'm on the board of a charity. It's called Sterling District of Women. And in that charity, there's a total focus on abusive relationships, where we find homes and we help them out of situations. We've helped them move countries. You guys have something like that there?
Refuge House is what comes to mind here. They do counseling. They have a place for the women to stay, women who are single, women who have children, a place to stay. And they also try to find work for them if they need that, and try to give them as much protection as possible.
And is it a government based? Is it charity based? What is it?
It's a nonprofit.
the nonprofit. That's great. I'm happy to hear that because, you know, it's important to get as many women involved in that as possible. I
Right,
think what we fail to do as women is we fail to surround each other and protect each other.
right.
Right.
And I think that's so important. We tend to be more judgmental than men. Men aren't as judgmental as we are. Instead of
Absolutely.
we blame. I think that's something that really needs to change.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah, and thank you, Cindy. I do believe if we as women could help and support each other more, we can do a lot better. The old people used to say this: a piece of a man is better than no man at all.
did.
You ever heard that?
Yeah.
Dr.
Yeah, I heard
Phil?
that, I heard
I
that,
heard that.
yeah,
And my question was, which piece is the best part?
We can't talk about that on the Christian station.
I can't talk about
Not
that
on the Christian station. We can't talk
All
about
right.
that.
Thank you so very much for calling, Cindy. That was good. Because I think sometimes that piece is good and sometimes that piece is good. So, that was the saying, and I guess
I personally don't like that.
Me either.
I want the whole person.
the whole person.
And I
body
also,
feels.
I want a person that's intellectually stimulating and not crazy.
I've actually had a lady tell me that. I asked her, I said, well, why did you stay with this man for so long? Well, I just had to keep him. However I could get him, I could keep him. I was like, oh, that's,
No. And it's so unfortunate that that's the thinking of a lot of women, which will keep them there
them there.
regardless.
Yeah, and I guess caller, you're on the air. Thank you for calling.
When we know our self-worth, we won't fall for that.
Right.
yes, and yes.
When you know your self-worth,
Mm-hmm.
we gotta be taught what self-worth is.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes.
And that's why it's so important for women to really encourage and support each other.
It is.
And again, I'm hoping that today's show will give. I know we have women on here who are listening, who have either been abused or are in that situation right now. I mean, Dr. Phil still got a private practice. You know, it won't be free after the show, and we can only do so much.
It's a sliding scale.
She'll give you a sliding scale. I'm telling you, heard on the Real Talk with Judy show. Maybe she'll take $2 off. But the thing about it, sisters and brothers, if you're listening, seek help, please. You don't have to die. You don't have to lose yourself. And I agree with the caller holistically. Once we find value in ourselves, it changes the dynamic of who we are. It changes our thought pattern. It changes what we believe about ourselves. And one thing, get in a good church. I know some people say, you always talking about church. I believe in church.
A good church.
I believe a good church with a good sane pastor. And make sure, and I know
You said
he's
sane or save? Which one?
saved and sane. Holy Ghost
You
filled.
gotta be sane and saved.
And I know that some people say, well, Judy, you come real. I mean, that's what I get a lot, and that's why people listen. But I like to talk about real issues. We're not gonna get anywhere if we don't address. There's no elephants in the room.
Yeah.
Get in the church where your pastor ain't playing around and fooling around with the choir members and everybody else.
But you gotta go. You can't just be a member on the roster. You
Yeah,
actually have to attend.
Yeah, you got to attend, but make sure when you're attending, make sure he ain't fooling around. And that's important. I'm serious. Make sure he ain't a homemonger. I'm just saying it, And even the people you're hanging around. My sister is about to drop everything.
Everything, y'all.
You making all these faces on Facebook, but the thing about, and I'm serious because people need help.
People do need help.
People
yes.
need help.
And
This is a
but
serious
people,
situation.
people a lot of time are afraid to get help because they feel that, and they've been taught that it makes them look and be crazy. I don't like that
And
C
weak.
word.
Wow.
And weak. Yeah,
You don't ask for
exactly.
help.
Yeah, you don't ask for
We talked
help.
earlier, you pray about it.
Yeah.
And you know what, and I'm glad you mentioned church because I've always been a member of a church and I think that's important, but also, and I think I don't want to use a race card, I don't know if it's a black church thing or what, but just prayer is not going to help. Just going to church and reading your Bible is not going to help.
Right.
You got to have some foundation. It has to be holistic. It has to be spiritual, but it also has to be able to connect to resources that are available for you to get
Right.
better.
That God provides for you, just take advantage of it,
Right.
you know?
And
But
so
that is true.
The Chelsea House is also another place and locally that helps with domestic survivors or domestic violence.
Right.
But the thing is, because even when I started to acknowledge that I needed help, I called the refuge house, and was trying to seek help. But I think that we do not put enough resources because they were unable to help because they had no place if I did want to go. There wasn't any room. They were at capacity. So the closest place they said for me to check would have been somewhere, I think Franklin County or Wakulla County. And so luckily, at that time I had a vehicle, but when a lot of times if you don't have the resources, sometimes you don't have a car.
Right.
So how you gonna, Tallahassee's bus doesn't run late like other metropolitan areas. So there's public transportation is not necessarily really available in our city. So how can you get to where you need to go? And then you're afraid to call the police. And if they come to your apartment, all the flashing lights, everybody knows something's
That's
going
right.
on.
That
They're not
is-
coming in discreetly.
Now that is
Right.
true, because when we
Right.
when I rode with the Tallahassee Police Department, the officer having his flashing light and sirens and I was excited because I liked the car. Like, where we going? He says the domestic violence call with the he got a knife and da da da. But we came in lights and everything, and not only did he come, but two other officers. So everybody, and he came out the door like, I don't have no knife. No, but that was something. And as you're talking, Charlene, I wish we had, I don't know, like Harriet Tubman when they did the Underground Railroad. They had
For real, have an
they
underground
had the
domestic
underground, the
railroad.
safe houses, and
For real.
because
Right.
we have to do something.
We have to have.
We
those
have to
places.
do
Right.
something, and this show is not even tapping half of anything, y'all. We're just trying to give you all some help,
basis.
a base, just a
Let's start the
foundation to start
conversation.
somewhere, so you can really get going, because you got to get going somewhere. You really do, and we want you to get help. Want you to seek it. Charlene, how did you get out? How did you finally just say, you know what, enough is enough? Did you watch the movie Enough?
I watched the movie.
How many times?
A lot.
I watched
3
it
or
about-
4
I watched
times.
about 30 times. 30
The
times.
way that I got out, number one, I knew my self-worth. So
Okay.
I knew that this was not me. I knew that this I couldn't stay in this.
Okay.
And then I really sought God and how do I maneuver out of this? And then the key thing is, even if you don't tell people what's going on, create some kind of plan. So what I started doing is I would contact certain people that are really close friends, and I said, listen, I can't tell you what's going on, but if you get a really weird text that's just really weird to you, it don't make no sense to you, I need you to come to my house.
Okay.
I had a coworker, she was like something, I told her, I said, Miss Kim Black, I had to shout her out. Kim prayed me through, and she said, this is what you do. This is what you need to do. You got to find somebody who's going to help you and give you advice, even if you don't go to the cops, even if you don't call, the professionals. There are key people in your life that you can talk to them without giving your business, and they'll give you key information back. And then really following through on those things and the advice that they gave you. And so I started to then go to counseling.
Thank you, caller. You're on the air.
Hello, how you doing?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
Good. I am so glad that you all are talking about this because I work with families that have children with special needs. And so one thing that I'm learning is bullying starts early.
Yes.
And my prayer is that we start not only educating our children in church about the needs to have their soul saved, but just preparing them for different things that they're dealing with, with the children committing suicide. And a lot of times I found that if kids are being bullied at school, they're being bullied at home, or they're seeing someone being bullied in their family. And so I think this is very important. And I'm just thankful that you all are talking about it. And then she was talking about a code word. I have a family member that was dealing with this. And so we came up with something very strange that if she texts me or called me asking
for something in particular, I knew exactly what was going on.
Right.
So I'm glad you all are
Right.
talking about this.
Thank you so very much for calling. That is, I love that.
Yeah.
So if you're listening, get a strange word, say bring me a pig feet with some spaghetti.
Right, they'll be like,
You
what
know,
the world is that?
get some help. I mean, this
Because
is
they
some
go through
good,
that
this is
phone,
some good.
they ain't gonna know what that is.
Yeah,
Right,
this is-
exactly.
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 This is some good information. Dr. Fields, what would you tell someone who's listening and who may be dealing with it now from a clinical standpoint? What would you say to them?
Number one, it's not your fault. It's never been your fault.
Okay.
Don't let anybody tell you that it's your fault that they're doing this to you, because it's not your fault. And I've seen it so much where a lot of times a woman will blame herself, and it's definitely not their fault. Another thing is to do the code.
Okay.
Find somebody that you can give the code to. And make sure you use it, because Charlene is right. They go through your phone,
Okay.
they're not gonna know what the code is. They may ask you, so make sure you got
Got
some
an answer to
got some
give.
answer to give that you don't
Okay.
have to
Right.
Okay.
And the whole time you're in this situation, be thinking about a plan
Okay.
to get out, because you never know when that opportunity is gonna come
Mhm.
for you to get out. And a lot of times that opportunity comes when you're not expecting it to come.
Okay.
Yeah.
So have your plan, be thinking about your plan. I think that the more you are trying to think about what you need to do, the more control you become. Because again, he's trying to get all the control, but the more you get your control back, the more that you're coming up with a plan to get out. You start thinking about it. You don't want to ever think, I'll never get out of this.
Mhm.
You think of ways
Okay.
that you can get out when the opportunity presents itself.
That is true.
Man, this is powerful. Dr. Fields is going to give you a contact information after a while in just a few minutes. But also, Charlene, your situation led you to write a book. Your life coach, it sent you so many different ways. Listen, this is what I'm going to do right quickly. She's going to tell us about her book, but she's giving away, and I'm going to do this like I've learned from Dot D and Miss Monique. So I'm going to do this just like I learned from Miss Dot D and Miss Monique. Charlene has written a book. She's a life coach. We're going to give away 2 books.
Yes.
Am I right?
Yes.
We're going to give away 2 books and 2 initial life coaching session.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so the first person who called me, the first, second, third, and fourth person who called, you get the first person get a book, the second person get a coach, and caller number 1.
Hello, this is Joy Bowen calling into your show.
Oh my God!
Wow, aren't you blessed? Aren't you blessed?
That is my college mentor.
Oh yeah, you got a good mentor right there.
Listen, I've been listening to the show.
Yes,
And of
ma'am.
course, it's a very relevant topic.
Yes, ma'am.
However, I'm wondering if you ladies have an idea of an age that we should start to talk to our daughters and our sons about domestic violence. We know
As
how
soon-
prevalent it is, but it's just like any other disease or any other victimization of crime. When do we start?
I think we should start as soon as they can talk and understand what you're telling them. And that could be elementary school. And some kids, depending on maturity, it could be kindergarten. But the more you start, the more you talk, the more you instill in them, the more they're going to actually be able to recognize the signs and maybe not even get as far into it.
Absolutely.
That's good.
And
I
that's
also
with let me just say, that's with girls and with boys, not just with girls, but girls and boys.
Okay. One of the ideas that I had, and it probably will not catch on for the next 50 years, is that along with some of our Sunday school classes, we might give thought to placing on those agendas topics that deal with some of the social issues,
Yes.
to include the bullying
Yes,
and the
ma'am.
violence to women for our girls and boys as well. Just a thought. I'm enjoying the conversation. Be blessed, everybody.
Thank you so very much.
Bye.
Thank you so very much. We're so glad you called in. Caller, you on the air.
Hi. I was calling just to say thank you for the show and that I'm grateful that you're having it. But oftentimes, so much stigma is placed on women when they speak out. What can we do to decrease that, especially if you're a professional woman?
Well, number one, you continue to speak out, and you get other women with you to speak out also. I think that the more we speak out, the more we continue to speak out, the less stigma there be. And I think also being respectful to ourselves and to other women, because that a lot of times we tend to put women down who speak out, and I'm saying
Yes.
I'm talking
Right.
about other women
Other
do that.
women,
That's
right.
Yeah.
exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Because that's what I found, that when you go to them for support, they put you down.
Right.
Right.
And like sororities, some church people, it's very, very intimidating and frustrating. So you just don't say anything because you look a certain way. It's just hard sometimes.
That's true. That is true. But my thing is to continue, because you have to know that you're doing the right thing regardless. And there are going to always be people who are going to talk against what you do. They did that with Jesus.
Amen.
And Jesus didn't stop because they did that with him. And if he had, where would we be?
You're right.
And so the thing to do is, when you know that you need to do what you're doing, you know that you're right, you continue. There are gonna be people who are gonna put you down, but they're gonna also be people who lift you up. And you have to continue until you
Yes.
find those people
Yes.
who lift you up.
Yes.
And then you all can form a group yourselves.
Well, I'm blessed in that respect that I have a really good friend, but she doesn't live in the area. But praise God for modern technology that we can talk and pray on a daily basis.
Right.
And thank you so very much for calling, and thank you so very much for listening. Listen, this is what we're going to call it. You on the air? You want the book?
Yes, I do.
Okay, I'm gonna say, did anybody want the book? No, I'm just kidding. Okay, well, we'll get your information. Now I can't.
What's the name?
Just hold on for a moment, and we'll get your information. You're gonna talk to Dot D, and he'll get your information, and then we'll come right back, cause we got another book to give away, and 2 life coaching sessions. So we're gonna do that. Hey, listen, this is what I'm gonna do too. Dr. Phil, Charlene, I know there's some other women out there who have gotten out of this situation. A young lady met me, she called me to her house, her husband hit her one time and she left.
That was it.
One time and she got out of there, she and her children. I was
Man,
surprised, but she left and she raised those children. And okay, Carmen Coleman, you're gonna get a book, okay? She said she called, but she can't get through. Okay, good. So that's 2 books gone.
All right.
That's 2 books
That's
gone.
all right.
The one he's getting the information for right now. And then you can come up here and pick up your book. He's getting the information. Carmen will make sure that you get a book. We got 2 live sessions. Not just the initial now, not the whole time, just the initial. And make that clear. But this is what we're gonna do. I'm gonna have the Real Talk with Judy show is gonna have a roundtable talk.
Yes.
And it won't be on the radio. We'll find a place, I'll let you know when, and we're gonna talk about the issues. Joy Bourne, Ms. Bourne, you get ready to come on in with us. She's a fine lady in this community. All right, so we got 2 already. All right, so we got 2. We got 2 more, but y'all gotta hurry up because I gotta go, okay? But we're gonna do that. We're gonna have a caller. You're on the air.
I had to call you back. I'm going to tell you why. I think this is it Dr.
Fields.
Dr. Fields?
Yes.
Okay, someone talked to you about when should you start to talk to your children about this.
Yes.
Well, a little boy was having and someone told my daughter it was because he liked her. And I said, no, sir. Because right at that point, I was teaching my daughter, if I had agreed to that it was okay for a man to be abusive as long as he liked her. Right at that point, when she was 8 years old, I was telling her it was okay that he treated her like that. It's just because he liked her. So that stuff starts really early.
It does start early. Yes, ma'am. It does start early. And unfortunately, it's looked upon like that a lot, that we call it a love tap. He hit me because he loves me, and that's what they talk about early in elementary school, and we grow up still thinking that that's the case.
So Cindy, thank you so very much. We glad to. I appreciate you much. Call us out. Call you on the air. This, and then I got one more. You want the counseling? I mean the free coaching session, correct?
Excuse me?
Huh?
Is this 98.3?
This is she. This is it.
Yes. Is this up with the Judy, Mateo?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Hello. Hello.
All right. Hello.
Okay, yeah, I was listening at you all when y'all was talking about the wrestling shows, and I have a girl that's been trying to get help. I'm from Quincy.
Okay.
And she's been trying to get help ever since October.
Wow.
She have not been able to get anybody to give her any help.
I tell you what, that D gonna take your number for us, and we'll call you back.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you so very much. Listen, y'all, thank y'all so very much for calling, and we got to go. So I tell you what, the first person who either on YouTube or Facebook say, give me that initial counseling session, it's yours. The first person who either on Facebook or YouTube, 1, 2, 3, go. And it's yours, okay? Listen, I want to thank you all so very much for listening. Dr. Fields, thank you so very much. Charlene, thank you.
Thank you.
And y'all, we're going to come back and we're going to pull that together. I'm going to get with Dr. Fields to get her schedule, get with Charlene, and we're going to come back and we're going to have it in a neutral place, and we're going to come and we're going to talk, okay? But we're going to have to get out of this. We're going to have to go right now. Okay, but I want to thank you all for listening. I mean, people are calling, people are texting, people are Facebooking us, and I knew it was going to be like this. My prayer is that you was helped and your faith and hope was increased. That number one, this is not your fault.
Right.
It never was your fault.
Right.
Okay, and that you will be able to get help. All right. I want you to go to Charlene Howard on Facebook.
Yes, Charlene Shogo Howard.
Shogo is
Shogo.
CHOGO.
Yes. And I am Shogo on Instagram. You can go to my website, www.iamshogo.com.
Okay. And Dr. Fields with it, and that's a book right there.
Bags of Life.
And Dr. Fields how they can contact you.
Field Psychotherapy and Consulting. The number is 850-510-4277.
Say it one more time.
850-510-4277.
All right. And y'all contact them, okay? We're here to help each other. And I promise you, in Tallahassee, we're building, and it's a lot of women doing it. We're building, Carolyn, we're building a women, a sisterhood. A lot of people are doing it. There are women in this city, and I'm sure there are women in your city that have support. And we're gonna make sure that we all connect together. We're putting together something right now where all the women could come together. Everybody who have businesses and everything, we're coming together quarterly starting 2019, the fourth Sunday in January at 6 p.m., I believe. And we're going to come together and we're going to build this network and we're going to help other people do it in their city, okay? Because this is what it's all about. If we help each other, we won't have a whole lot of Me Too's.
I just want to just add that if you call me and I can't see you, then I'm going to refer you. I'm going to refer you to somebody I know can help. I just want you to know that.
Okay. All right. And I want to thank you all so very much for listening. We appreciate you all so very much. Want to say Merry Christmas. We will not be here next Tuesday, we opening gift too.
Okay.
So we're gonna be opening gift. I wanna say Merry Christmas to everybody. And I heard, and I was reading that Christmas time, holiday time, is a lot of time when domestic violence
Yes.
really
Yes.
go
Yeah,
haywire.
right.
And we pray that you all be safe, okay?
Yes.
We love you guys. Thank you so very much for listening.
Next time you're riding down the road in your car, sing this to the Lord. You'll get where you're going much faster. Come,
Let me turn YouTube off so we can,
let us.
we're gonna have to stay. It's real easy.